Okay, welcome back, everybody. How's everybody doing? You're doing well? Are you getting tired already towards the end of the semester? Or you're still okay? Getting tired? Okay. Yeah, the good thing is that we have only 2 weeks left. What about you guys in Zoom? Are you all doing okay?
Yeah, doing great.
All right, good to hear. Yeah, but I'm looking forward, just like I guess many of you, I'm looking forward for the semester to be over. I need to take a break too. Hopefully things will be better after we come back from the summer break, with COVID situation and everything else that is driven by that situation. Okay, friends, so the goal for today is to work on assignment 8 and hopefully complete most of the assignments. So you only have some polishing to do after today's class. I ask you to bring the textbook that has case 11 described. And we'll read this case in a second. But before we go to the case, I would like to ask you about exam 3. Is there anything that you would like to discuss, like any specific questions that you missed? And for that, what I will do, I will go ahead and enable access. So you can access exam 3 and see correct answers. I'll do it right now. This one. Okay, so I enabled this answers feature, so you should be able to view all the correct answers in exam 3. So I'll give you a minute. Let me know if you would like to discuss a particular question. Again, as usual, if you would like to discuss a question, tell me please the first 2 or 3 words of that question so I can quickly locate it. So can you view the answers now? Okay, so I'll give you a couple of minutes to think about it. Any questions, comments? Need more time? Okay. So clear? Okay. What about you guys in Zoom? Anything that you would like to bring up in relation to exam 3? Okay, well then let's move to our main agenda item, which is assignment number 8. The first thing I'll do, I'll open the assignment shell file and I will tell you about the main deliverables for this assignment. Now, this will be the last assignment for the semester. So this is the assignment that I'm talking about, assignment 8. This will be the last assignment for the semester. It requires you to build a decision support system using both Microsoft Access and Microsoft Excel. So this will be an integration exercise where we will manage and use and analyze data using both tools at the same time, pretty much, okay? So that's the assignment. When you open assignment 8 file, I will save it. I already saved it somewhere. You need to have this file open because it shows you some screenshots, like what needs to be done, what certain tabs will contain. So what you need to do for this assignment, you need to read case number 11 from your textbook. And today I'll briefly summarize the case so that, because I'm not sure how many people need a copy. And to be honest, I ran out of copies of that case, so I cannot give anything to anybody. So I'll just briefly summarize, but then we can use, we will use this case as a reference point. If we forget something, like we can always look it up. You know, I'm talking about like numbers, the rules, and things like that. So you need to read case number 11, and then you need to have the following deliverables. Number one, you need to create a Microsoft Access database file named case 11. The database file will contain 5 tables and 6 queries. I will give you those 5 tables today in that skeleton file, so you don't have to worry about data entry. So the tables will be given to you. You just need to create queries. And I think for sure today we'll create those 6 queries together, okay? Then you also need to have an Excel file in addition to the database. So you need to export your data from your Microsoft Access database into Microsoft Excel. And again, today I'll show you how to do it. And within this Excel file, you need to have the following 6 sheets. So they're named right here. And the content of each sheet, so this is how the database will look like. And this is the content of each sheet. So this is the summary sheet, this is the chart sheet, and so forth, okay? We'll see how things will go today, but I'm hoping if things go quick, we can complete the entire assignment today, like with some polishing left for you and some things for you to analyze. One thing that I won't do for sure in this charts tab, you need to write your analysis, like what do you see from those charts? What did you learn from this exercise, and what do you recommend based on that chart, okay? So this is the deliverable. 1 database file, 1 Excel file, and hopefully we'll do most of it today together. So how many of you have read case 11? Okay, well, I'll tell you what the case is about, but you'll need to help me because it talks about football. So maybe I'm missing some details. You know, not that's the wrong phrase. I was planning to say I'm not an expert in football. I think it's better to say I don't know anything about football. Right? That's I watch Super Bowl, but you know, I kind of understand what's the main objective. But to me, it's too complicated. There are too many rules, too many technical details. You know, I get lost. So feel free to, if I'm missing something, feel free to correct me, to tell me like what the correct rule is or what the correct arrangement is. So look, this is what case 11 is all about. You're working as a data analyst for the so-called Continental Football League. And I believe it's a real league, right? There's a Continental Football League that is like a minor league compared to NFL, right? Within this league, you have 20 football teams, and you're working for one of those football teams. What those teams do, just like teams in NFL, they recruit new players from college level players. They recruit those people for their own teams, okay? And they do it through a procedure known as draft, right? That's the name of this procedure. Maybe rules are different between Continental Football League and NFL Football League, but here, this is the procedure that is described. You have 20 teams, right? And then they have 5 rounds of picks, right? And each team has 5 picks. Let me just read it again. Yeah, so you have 20 teams, that is fine. Yeah, so there are 5 rounds. I believe it's correct. There are 5 rounds of picks, and each team has 5 picks within those rounds. So basically, we're talking about a total of 100 of picks made by all 20 teams, okay? Before that drafting procedure begins, each team gets those pick numbers, okay? So for example, if each team, so there are 20 teams and each team has 5 picks, I believe, yeah. So, yeah, that's 100. I think I told you the wrong thing about 5 rounds. So basically it's 100 picks total, right? So it's 5 picks per team, something like that. So each team gets a pick number from 1 to 100, five numbers, right? So for example, if a team gets pick number 1, it means they will be the first team to recruit a player for their own team from the ranks of college level players, okay? If you have pick number 3, then it means you're the third team who will do that pick. So all those picks are distributed among teams. Now, what's the like? Why is this system in place? Like, why do we have those picks being distributed? Like, why don't we let just teams recruit whoever they want to? Like, what's the idea here? In what way?
So I guess teams only fighting over the player. That team, that player on that pick.
Okay. Well, I guess that's like one of those side effects. Indeed, it's like more organized, right? I think the main idea is indeed like some degree of fairness, but I don't think they care about fairness that much. They care about like equivalent. I guess it is fair, like fair competition, something like that, right? What happens? Teams that were performing bad last season, they get top picks so they can get better players. You understand that if you have the first pick, you can select the best player out there, right? If you have the last pick, you will select whoever is left as a team, right? So naturally, for those early numbers, they're better. Okay, so they will give those early picks to underperforming teams so that they can pick best players and hopefully improve their performance next season. Okay, so I guess their idea is to make sure that there is some degree of competition and every team has more or less equal chance of winning in a particular season. Because otherwise, I think what they're afraid of is that top teams will recruit top players and they will keep dominating the league, and I guess it won't be interesting to watch. So that's the reason. Okay. I'm actually surprised that this kind of regulation exists in football because, like, for example, Europe is known to be like more regulated and more kind of socialist and things like that. But when it comes to European soccer leagues, there are no rules for those picks. I mean, whoever pays more money gets the player, right? And I don't think it's impacting them like. I guess it does because there are those major European soccer clubs who get best players. They have a lot of fans, a lot of money, but that's what it is. And there's no like caps on salaries or anything like that. I know there are also caps on salaries that football players get and things like that. Doesn't exist in soccer. It's like pure capitalism. Whoever is willing to pay, whoever is willing to make a good offer, and the player will take whatever seems to be. Usually it's about money, but not all the time. Like sometimes. Players are very passionate about a particular team or country or something like that, but I think most of the time it's about money. They will just go anywhere where they pay the most, and that's why they have those huge contracts with like 100 million euros, for 3 years and things like that. Maybe it's not even an impressive number anymore. Well, anyways, that's the procedure used in that Continental Football League. Okay. Now, teams are also allowed to trade those picks. So, for example, let's say I'm a manager of one team and you're managing another team in the league. So, for example. I'm telling you, look, I have pick number 3, and I would like to trade pick number 3 for pick number 2 that you have. Would you trade that? No, right? Because pick number 2 is more valuable than pick number 3, right? So that's clear, right? The question becomes, what if you have more complicated trades? For example, you're saying, okay, you have pick number 13. I want that one, and I will give you pick number 14 and pick number 17 for that. Now it's becoming a bit unclear whether it's a good trade or not, right? So what we need to do, we need to have a system for valuing those picks in points, right? How much each pick is worth, okay? For years, as the case says, they've been using the system created by Coach Smith, that legendary coach. He's been around for decades. He retired. He died a long time ago. So he created a table, and the table is given to you. I'll show you that table in a second. So he created a table, like a point system, where each pick from 1 to 100 has a certain point value. So you can use this table. For example, you can say, okay, pick number 13 is worth 500 points. Pick number 14 is worth 300 points, and pick number 17 is worth, let's say, 250 points. So you offer me to trade 500 points for 550 points. So I'll go ahead and make that deal for you, right? So that's the kind of logic embedded into the point system, okay? Now, the problem with this point system that Coach Smith created is that nobody knows how it was created. Nobody knows like why those points were assigned to those picks. So you, as a data analyst, so you imagine you're a data analyst working for one of the teams, and you will put on this data science project to create your own system for scoring, for valuing those picks, okay? So this assignment is about this. You'll create your own scoring system, and then you'll compare it to Coach Smith's scoring system, and then you will tell me which system you think is better, okay? So that's what the entire assignment is about. So let's get started on this assignment, if you don't mind, by opening the skeleton file. The skeleton file is somewhere right below the assignment 8 file. So this is case skeleton database file. So please go ahead, save it somewhere where you can easily access it later, and open this database file, please. Okay, so you should have those 5 tables listed here. Now, this is the coach values. This is the table that shows the points that Coach Smith assigned to all those teams. So pick number 1 is worth 3,000 points. Pick number 100 is worth 100 points. So naturally, you would not trade pick number 1 for pick number 100, right? Because of the points. Now, if somebody's trading, let's say, pick number 16 for pick number 20 and, I don't know, 26, then you will go ahead and make that deal because it looks like this, these 2 picks are worth more than that one single pick. Okay, so this is the Coach Smith system. Here, what you see here, well, first of all, let's look at players table. So here we have players' last name, round in which the player was drafted. So we have a total of 5 rounds. So each team makes, sorry, 1 pick. I told you 5 picks, 1 pick per round, right? So we have 5 rounds. And then each player has a draft number. So 1 means this player named Stewart was the first one to be picked, right? So this is the player data set. And then we have performance of those players over 3 years after being drafted. The first table is called star in the year. So for every player, for every draft number, that's the code that we're using to identify players. We have performance data for year 1, 2, and 3. It's related to being on the starting team, okay? Again, if you know football, maybe it's obvious to you, but I will explain it maybe for myself. You see, like every football team has a lot of players, right? So I don't know, they can have close to 100. I was once looking at MSU team and I was trying to count how many players I see. I think I saw like close to 100 or 50, more than 50, something like that, right? Now, how many players does each team have on the field at any point of time? Each team, yeah, 11, right? So in other words, you may have 100 players on your roster, but it's only 11 players that are on the field at any given point of time, right? And then each team has that starting team, right? And typically that starting team, again, it's my understanding of football, that starting team is the best collection of players, right? Because I think they all want to start on a good note and intimidate the opposing team. So they start with their best players, right? So for each player, we have information whether that player was on the starting team in that particular year, okay? So 1 means player with a draft number 1, which is Stewart, was on the starting team for year 1, 2, and 3, meaning for all 3 years, okay? And then naturally, when you go down, when you see those later picks, like somebody who has a draft pick 98 was on the starting team for year 1, but then I guess he didn't perform well. He was excluded, right? He was excluded for year 2 and 3 from the starting team, okay? So this is started. Then in the league information. So this is like so this is whether this player survived in the league for 3 years or not. So for example, draft number 1, Stewart, he was in the league for 3 years. Okay, this player with draft number 6 was in the league for year 1 and 2, but wasn't in the league for year 3. I guess they terminated his contract or something like that, right? So for example, if somebody is, maybe the person was injured, maybe the person was not performing, but the contract was somehow terminated. So the person was not playing in the league for year 3, okay? And then we have all-star in the year. So all-star, I think in most sports at the end of the season, you know, either coaches or fans or whoever that is, they vote on the all-star team, right? So all-star team means you pick players for a dream team across all teams, right? So you select, let's say, 11 players across the entire league to form your dream team, right? So it's like an award, basically, okay? So who votes for those all-star teams, let's say, in football? Is there something like that? Or there's only, what is it, most MVP? Well, my question is, I know that in some sports, they have this award procedure, it's like a dream team voting. From the league, yeah, from the entire league. So for example, they would identify, let's say, 11 best players from the entire league, and they will call it like a dream team, like an all-star team, something like that. It's like an award, basically. So do they do it in football? Mm-hmm. And how's it called? Pro Bowl. Okay, so it's like a Pro Bowl team. So in that Continental Football League, it's called All-Star Team, something like that, right? So this player with draft number 1, Stewart, he was on that All-Star team or All-Star game, whatever the procedure is used, for year 1, 2, and 3. Okay. Now let me ask you: out of those performance measures, All-Star in the year in the league and Star in the year, which one do you think is the most indicative of performance? Which one is the most like indicative of exceptional performance? Probably All-Star has more value, right? And which one do you think has the least value in terms of indicating whether a player was a well-performing player or not? Yeah, simply being in the league, right? I mean, let's not talk down on those people. I think it's a big achievement to stay in the league, right? But at the same time, you know, a lot of people stay in the league. It's not that impressive of an achievement, right? And then starter in the year, it's kind of in between, right? It's probably more valuable than simply being in the league, but less valuable than being on the all-star team. Okay, so those track records, they have different weight. Okay, so those are the tables that we have. Now, what we're gonna do, we're gonna create summary tables. First of all, we're gonna create totals for each of those performance dimensions. All-star being on the all-star team, being in the league, and being on the starting team, okay? So first, let's do a summary query for all-star. So for every player, we're gonna sum all those ones for 3 years, right? So for example, here for player with draft number 1, the score is 3 because that player has been on the all-star team for 3 years straight, okay? Now, this is how this query looks like. I'm sorry? No, you will make it. I'll just show you how to do it. I'm just showing like what the query shows, how many points each draft number gets for this particular performance dimension. Okay, so in the design view, we need 2 tables. So for every query, we're gonna select players drafted, we're gonna pick information about the player, and we're just gonna display draft number from the players drafted table. And then we're gonna create that all-star summary by summing the following variables: year 1, year 2, and year 3 in square brackets, because this is how you indicate that this is a variable. This is like a column name, okay? So you'll go to, you'll go to create query design, and then you will select players drafted, and then all-star in year. So you'll have 2 tables. By the way, when you go to database tools and you look at the relationships, I think you need to specify those relationships. Sorry, I think, you know, I'm just like, I don't remember whether your relationships in your database are specified correctly or not. So let's do that first. So let's close everything, sorry. Okay, so let's go to database relationships, and I'll select all tables, okay? And then you just need to make sure that they're all connected properly. So you have, in the middle, you have players drafted, and the draft number is connected to everything except coaches' values. You know, this table does not have to be connected to anything. So it's a one-to-one relationship. So I'm just gonna drop this draft number on all of those primary keys. just in case. I just don't remember whether I already set up model in that skeleton file or not. So I'll save it and then close it. So did you all manage to do that? Yeah. Yeah, I need to go fast because I'm hoping we can do a lot today. But let me do it again. So you see what I did? I just dropped the draft number from players drafted on all three tables, and it connected them automatically. That's all you need. Okay. And then I hit save and I closed it so that this is properly saved. That should be correct. There was a save button here, you see in the corner. No, I just saved the database. It's like updates to the database. So this is the button that you need to press. If you haven't saved the file yet, you need to save it somewhere. And this is what we need to do. I'll just show you how to do one query, and then I will wait for you to do the rest of the queries. So look, this is how it works. We want to have summary scores for each player based on the all-star performance. In other words, whether this player has been on the all-star team or not for the 3-year duration. Okay. So we need to create a query with two tables. So players drafted and all-star in the year. Okay. So you go to create and then query design, and you select those two tables. Players drafted, you hold control and you select those two tables. Players drafted and all-star in the year. Okay, so you should see something like that. And then it's a simple select query, so it should be selected by default. So from the players drafted, you'll just select players drafted number, right? So you use this drop-down menu. And here for the all-star table, you'll create a custom label that is called all-star, and you will write this expression, year 1 plus year 2 and year 3 in parentheses. So that's the expression here. So the table will be all-star in the year. And here we're going to have custom label that says all-star, and then it sums the values in those fields for each player, year 1, year 2, and year 3. So tell me if something is not working. So let me run it, and I want to see. So it's working. So I'll go back to the design view so you can see the expression right here. And then when you hit select, it will ask you to name the query. The query should be named all-star. Okay, we're done. And then, so I'll just close this query. And then you will do the same thing to create a very similar query in the league. So now you will, instead of selecting all-star table, you will also select players drafted, but then you will select in the league table. Okay. And just like you did previously, you will select draft number field from the players drafted table, and then you will select, you will write the following expression in league. That will be the label for the output, and then you will sum the values in year 1, year 2, and year 3 columns. And then click save, and the name for this query should be in league. So let me know if you get stuck or something is not working. You know, people are typing like they're writing like an essay or something. Like, what are you typing? Are you still typing the expression?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I think the only sports that I've been following is boxing and MMA in my life. I don't think I've been, I mean, I watch like occasionally, not occasionally, but all the time I watch Super Bowl. Like sometimes I may watch like, I don't know, soccer World Cup, but I don't follow like, you know, in detail. And I stopped following boxing after Mike Tyson era because I just didn't find it exciting. And I think I stopped following MMA closely after Pride Dissolution. There was this Japanese league that I watched. And then it closed down. They all went to UFC and kind of watched UFC for a couple of years. And then I stopped for some reason. I think my main problem is that I don't like lightweight fighters. Like I like, you know, like heavyweights. And, you know, they had amazing lightweight fighters like in boxing, MMA recently, but not those amazing heavyweights that I like, you know. Okay, are we done with that query? Okay. And then we're gonna have a third similar query. So I'll close this one. It's called starter. So we're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna have players drafted table again, but then the second table will be starter in the year. And that's the expression that we will write. Hey, you know, maybe it's too late to offer you that, but maybe you can sit here on the first row because you can be right in front of the screen. If, you know, I'm surprised you chose that spot actually. Oh, okay. They have some outlets here as well, I think. Yeah. Well, it's on my table, but they must have it somewhere because those computers are connected to somewhere, right? So are we done with this query? Yeah. Okay, so we're done with this query, right? And then, so this is basically for totaling things, right? There's nothing complex about it. And then we're gonna just explore the data to see whether our preliminary belief is right, whether early picks are more valuable than late picks, and whether all those variables are indicative of performance. Go ahead, please. I don't think it matters. They don't have arrows, it's just like a connector line, that's it. Access has that simplified version of your denotation. To double check, you just need to run the query, and if it looks like this, it means it's working properly. Okay, so we're gonna do some explorations with to see whether we are right about our prior beliefs. Yeah, speaking about prior beliefs, something that seems to be obvious is not necessarily true, right? You know, we have one student in my other class, and he's a sports fan, and he did research about how weather impacts attendance of baseball games, right? And he's somebody who is knowledgeable about baseball. When he told me about this project, both him and I, we kind of believe that weather has something to do with it. For example, when it's hot, when it's raining, there'll be less people attending games. Well, he found out it has no impact on game attendance. People are so crazy about baseball, they will go attend the games no matter what the weather is, right? So whatever you think is obvious may not necessarily be the truth, right? So the first thing we'll see that how many total years in the league players have spent for each of the rounds. So basically, we're looking at the round level, not at the player level, right? So we see that for round number one, we have a total of 56 player years. That's the unit of measurement. For round number two, we have a bit less, 52. And then for round number five, we have the least, right? So it does confirm our hypothesis that picks, the number of picks, you know, how early a particular pick is, it matters, right? It matters in which round you select players, because players selected in later rounds, in early rounds, they have more longevity in the league, right? They play for more years. So this is how this query looks like. In the design view, you will select two tables, players drafted and then in the league. And then don't forget to press this totals button, because it's not a simple select. We're gonna group and total. Okay, so when you select totals, make sure you select players drafted table, and then the field that you're working with is round number, and you're gonna select group by option for the total. And then the kind of totaling that you will do will be determined by expression, not by a built-in formula. And that's your expression. So you're gonna sum year one and year two across all rounds, not just for single players. So it will be based on grouping. So it's in parentheses to show that it's across players, not just like for individual players. So it's across the entire round. Let me check something quick. Just one second. I'm trying to increase font, but for some reason those options are not working. Okay, so are we done with this query? here. So are we done? Okay, let's go to the next query, and it's kind of similar to the previous one, but we're going to create total points based on round. So you will select, 1 second. Well, first let's close this one. Let's do the similar one, and then we'll go back to this one. And then we're going to do a similar query, which is again we're going to group by round number, and we're going to create calculate total points for being on the starting team. So in the design view, it looks very similar to the previous one, and I increased the font, so I had to reload it. So hopefully, it's more viewable now. So we have two tables, players drafted and starter in the year. So that's the different one. So it's a select query with total. So make sure totals are selected. So just like you did before, you will select round number from the players drafted table, and you're going to group by it. And the grouping will be based on expression. That's the expression. It's the same one that you entered for the previous query. Go ahead. You made a mistake somewhere. Let me check what. Can you show me the expression, please? Well, one problem that I see, there's something wrong with your data model. So try connecting it here, maybe it will work, because it's not. It's calculating all years in all points across all people. Can you drag it here? I don't know what it is. Just select draft number and put it here. Okay, and then run it again. You didn't fix the relationships to the database view. All right, so are we done with this query? Okay, good. So now we're going to create the last query, and this query just shows total points across all three performance dimensions. So for each player, we're going to have draft number, round number, player, name, and points. Okay. Now for this total points query, you'll have to select players drafted table when you create it. And then you need to select those three queries, all-star, this query, in league, and starter. Okay. So when you create it, when you go to create, in the query design, select players drafted, and then go to queries and select, hold control and select these three queries. Okay. So I just added three queries. I guess it's not selected across those panes. So what I will do, I will just show table. I'll go to show table and I'll add players drafted. Okay. So it should look something like this. And then I'll drop like this. So did you see how to add both queries in the table from different tabs? So if you miss something, just go here, show table, and you can add anything you want. So those are the elements that need to be shown. And for the total points, this is what you'll do. From the players drafted table, it's a simple select query. You will select draft number variable, round number variable, player name, and then points. So this expression will create totals across all those three queries. Okay, what about you guys in the Zoom? Are you following along?
Yes.
Yes.
It's all working?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, if I don't hear anything from you, I'm assuming everything is working properly. Okay, so are we done with this query? So when you run this query, you should see something like this. So you see players being sorted from the most valuable based on points to the least valuable. And as you can see, you do see that pattern. Players in early picks, they tend to be the most valuable players based on points, right? If you go to the least valuable players based on points here, you see that they tend to be those later picks. But I think sometimes you get that lucky pick, right? You don't think much of a particular college player, but then he turns out to be very valuable. I think that Tom Brady, he wasn't like one of the top picks during his draft year. What is that? Yeah, something like that. I think the problem. I think you entered something here incorrectly. There's a mistake somewhere there. The same thing to you?
It's like it won't do anything. I won't even have to close it.
Can you press run? Well, it's closing. It's another call.
Well, so see if it's lined up or lining up with it's weird. I was running
running?
I think so.
Well, it shouldn't run for.
I get this over there. So let me
In your case, then what? Why don't you take it on to the error message? I think there's something wrong here. Did it work on your end?
get a lot more.
You know, it's some kind of typo, I think, in those design tables. I'm not sure what it is. What did you do? You said something.
Okay, so if you were to go, for example, to your all-star query in your design, you have it in other tables where the table wasn't necessarily selected, right? And in some of these queries, I've had to manually put the table in first. It's disappearing now,
Okay.
but I had to put that table in first for it to actually pull like it does from there.
Okay, now we have one suggestion. It could be that those other queries are not correctly specified. You do not select tables. Like we're using all-star, star, and league, right? So in the design view, we need to make sure that, well, it's not selected here. So we select the appropriate table like this. Maybe that will work. But it's working on my end without those corrections.
Well, as I said before, I put that in manually, but when I performed the query, then it got written. So I'm wondering.
I guess it's redundant or something. Okay, did you re-enter it, Mason? It didn't work?
I've tried to close it. I guess it's frozen.
Yeah, I need to reboot it. Can you go to your all-star query again? Open the design. And then select this table. All-star query. Can you save it now? Just press the save button. Okay, then go back to the query. You run it now. Can you go to database tools? Relationships? It seems to be right. I'm not sure why it's saying. Oh, yeah, maybe it's the name. Well, guys, it's something related to entry. I guess you didn't answer with some name or something like that. Or because some people made it work, right? I'm not sure why it's not working.
Oh, I get it.
So what did you do?
I had the, okay, you see the in-lane starter and all-star? I had the.
Oh, okay. Maybe that's. Okay, can you, yeah, make sure you select queries on table. So, no, these And then add table, this should be in it one. Okay, for the tables, add the player table. Okay, and then for the queries, add all-star, in league, and starter. Okay. Sorry, we got some people stuck here, so we may just move on if we can figure out in a minute or so. Well, I guess the problem is in other tables or other. Well, email me that file if you cannot figure it out. Or maybe, yeah, just spend some time trying to figure out. If you cannot email it to me, I'll try to find out myself. Okay, friends, so we gotta move on. Some people got stuck. To be honest, I think it's some kind of data entry error, like some name was not entered or some query is not correctly executed or something like that. Okay, so assuming that, what about you guys in Zoom? Did you manage to get the total points query working?
Yes.
The total, okay, that's good. Okay, so after organizing our data, after doing initial exploration, we need to start working in Excel. So we'll do our further analysis in Excel, okay? There are a couple ways to do it. For example, when you are inside Microsoft Access, I'll show you. You can go to external data and you can export queries and tables as Excel sheets. So you can select this button and it will say, okay, where are you going to put that Excel file? Let's say I'll just put it in my 307 folder. So you press OK. And you close it, and then this file will be here. Okay, so this is what you can do. You can export those sheets one by one, okay? The last time I've checked, maybe I'm wrong because now I have an updated version. I couldn't export everything at once, but let me try to do it again. So let's say I want to export all those tables. Yeah, it doesn't allow you to export in bulk to Excel. So you'll have to do it one by one, okay? There might be an easier way, but the easiest way that I have discovered for an export is to go to Excel and then import it from an Access database, okay? So what I will do, I will just close that file because the database file should not be open. And then I will go to Start menu and I will launch Excel. Okay, now let's go back to our description file. I want to see what kind of tabs we need to have here. So you will create summary and charts sheets on your own, okay, in the workbook. So we'll create it next class. What we do need to have, we need to have points in the league, star in the year, and all-star in the year. So in other words, we need to import data that we see in those tables right here. I already closed them. in the league, star in the year, and all-star in the year. And then we also need to import coach values, which is one of the tables there. So basically we need to import 4 tables, okay? So this is how it can be done. In Excel, go to data, and then, one second, go to this get data option, and then select from a database, from Microsoft Access database right here. And then it will ask you to open the database file. So in my case, the database file that I've been working on is here on the desktop. It may take some time, but it will analyze the database and it will show you what kind of import options you have. Okay, so remember, we need to have 4 tables. We need to have, we'll enable select multiple items, okay? Okay, you go to, in Excel, you go to data and then get data right here. And then we're gonna select from database, and then you select Microsoft Access database. And then I select the file that we've been working on. So it needs to be closed. If it's open, I don't think it will import any data. So you'll select that file and it will analyze it briefly, and then it will show you what elements you can import. So once again, those are the tables that we need. We need to select multiple items. I'll enable this option here. We need coach values. We also need the, in the league, star in the year and all-star in the year. In the league, all-star in the year and star in the year. So basically 4 tables, all tables except players drafted, because we don't really need to look at their names. We just need to have the pick number, and it's all properly reflected in those performance tables, okay? You know, the interface has changed. I'm a bit lost in this new version of Excel. So I'll press load. For some reason, it's taking a long time. It's not that big of a database. Okay, so you should be able to see something like this. You have 4 queries loaded and you have 100 rows for each query, okay? Hey, I'm sorry, you know, today I started looking at it. This updated Excel version has a slightly different interface. Maybe there's a better way to actually put this data into sheets. If you figure out, let us know. The quick way that I figure out right now is this. We need to copy those values into those specific sheets. So for example, the first sheet that we'll create, it's called coaches values, right? So this is what I will do. I will name it this sheet coaches values or coach values. I'm not sure it's grammatically correct, coaches values. Okay, coach values, right? And then look, I double click on this query and it opens the entire data set like this. Okay, what I will do, I'll just click somewhere on this table and I'll select Control A to select everything. And then I press Control C to copy it. Okay, then I close this query. And then I just copy all this data here by using Control V. Okay. So that's the way I found. Maybe there's an easier way to do it at once, but I couldn't quickly figure out what's the best way to paste all those queries as sheets. Okay, and we're gonna do the same thing for the remaining 4 tables. Just do the same procedure. Click on the link; it will open the entire data set. Then click somewhere here. Then press Control A to select everything. Control C to copy it. Then close this table. and then create another sheet called in league. And copy your data set here. Now something happened here. Yeah, we don't need that. I'm not sure why it copied it. I think I made some kind of change in my database, but we don't need that row anyway. So I'll just delete it. And then we're going to do the same for all-star in the league, all-star in year. And then the fourth one, star in the year. Okay, and I'll just copy all this data one by one. So for all star in year, I'll go to this query. I'll put it here. Can delete this players drafted. And then for star in the year, I'll do the same thing. Let me know if you figure out an easy way to kind of copy them at once all together.
Dr. Krotov, I actually just figured out that other way to do it.
Okay, what's the way?
So if you go to data and then get data, and then from Microsoft Access Database, you select your database, you select the tables again, like normal.
Okay.
But after you do that, there's an option on the dropdown for load, and click load to.
Okay, okay. So let's do it quickly now. I'll try to do it again. Yeah, I remember I had something like that in the previous version. I'm a bit lost in this new interface. Yeah, so this is the load option, right?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So we'll select in the league, players drafted. Well, if you want to do just finish like the way we did it, right? You can just copy it. Start in the year and coaches values. Yeah, I forgot I didn't see it here at the bottom. Why I didn't select load before? Because it's selected, or should be load to.
Yeah, load to is what does that.
Okay.
And then I selected table.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. But you can finish that manual way since we're already done with it. What happened? So why didn't it work? Mm-hmm. Oh, okay, okay. So the names were not correct, right? I mean, I knew it's like some kind of data entry. I just couldn't figure out what exactly is not correct. So you included those labels, the correct label names. Okay. Yeah, so we did it. So you can do it like that. It doesn't matter how you do it. I mean, you can do it automatic import or one by one, and then just change names of those sheets to the one that you see in the document file. Friends, I'll give you some time to work on it, right? Next Thursday, we'll finish it up, right? I wasn't sure, like, I was actually hoping we can do it today, but we got stuck a few times, which is fine. I mean, it's always like that. It's unpredictable. So look, it looks like most of you done, but this is your goal. Next Thursday, not Tuesday, right? Next Thursday, come to class with an Excel sheet that contains those 4 tabs in the league, start in the year, all star in the year, and coaches values. I think most of you are already done with that, right? If not, then make sure you have everything figured out. We'll continue with our analysis in Excel on Thursday, okay? Go ahead, please. I will, yeah, I can do it right after this lecture. I'll do it. I'll do it now. Okay, now I will stop my screen sharing. We still have a couple of minutes left, 3 minutes. So I'll go ahead and take attendance before we leave. Clifton?
Here.
Braden?
Here.
Nathan?
Here.
Devante? Aaron David? Jessica?
I'm here.
Hope?
Here.
Sean?
Here.
Harrison? Tristan? Violet? Mason? Ahmed?
Here.
Wesley?
Here.
Aaron Haney? Tucker? Janice?
Here.
Jacob?
Here.
Caitlin? Jason?
Here.
Brandon?
Here.
Casey?
Here.
All right, well, thank you very much. Okay, sure.
I have a quick question.
Yes, go ahead, please.
Will I be able to retake the exam either tonight or?
Oh, so you didn't take the exam, right?
I did, but I had to leave for a meeting.
Okay.
So I had to leave the exam. I just wasn't sure if you would let me.
Okay. Let me check. I mean, I'll just check like what's the best way to set it up. But yes, I'll try to come up with something. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
I'll let you know. I'll send you an email because I got your email, but I thought you were just letting me know that you went out and then came back. That's what I assumed, right? I didn't know.
Oh,
that
no, it wouldn't let me go back in.
Okay, let me check what happened and I'll let you know like what the options are. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.